originally as doing film and wildlife documentaries with wolves. And then they started learning how important wolves are to our future conservation of wolves. So now we are an educational center. We're here to dispel the myth of the big bad wolf, bring awareness to how important they are. And we're not a breeder, we are not a rescue. So the fence is here for their protection, not yours. They're way more scared of you than you will ever be of them. And it gives them a little buffer zone from all the public. So before I introduce our lazy back here, there's 2 species of wolves in the world. Does anybody know what they are? 2 colors. You want to guess?
The
Gray, yep.
Black.
I hate saying no to white because I have 2 white wolves standing beside me and it makes me look like a liar. But actually it's a red wolf. Gray and a red. So Canis lupus, Canis rufus. Canis rufus, the red wolf, fairly new species, only been studied around 65 years. They are the only wolf right now that have massive protections on them, simply because there's less than 20 in the wild now. So in Ontario and southern states, lots of breeding programs going on to try and boost their numbers, push them back out into the wild. They look a little different than the grays. They have big pointy ears, reds and brown color, yellow eyes, a little bit smaller than the grays. They actually kind of look at like big coyotes. In fact, a lot of biologists believe they were actually bred with coyotes at some time, pushed back out into the wild. Every other wolf on the planet, we've all heard of, well, you guys said white wolf, you said a white wolf, black wolf, timber wolf, Ethiopian wolf, Arctic wolf, Iberian wolf, every other wolf on the planet is a gray wolf. So just like humans, we all come from different places, we all have different color hair, skin, all humans, same with these guys. They only get those names like a timber wolf. It's a subspecies named by the environment that they've adapted to. That's all that is. So all of our wolves here are all 100% gray wolves. They've all been fixed. Helps with their personalities, and we're not a breeder, so government regulation. All right, so let's meet our pack here.
The back.
So, did everyone see the big white lump in the straw in the back? In the very back?
Yeah.
That is Scrappy Dave.
It's Puppy Day.
And the other white lump is Flora. Though they're brother and sister, they're ambassador wolves, came to us at 11 days old, and they're 10 years old now. Full brother and sister came from a zoo in Alberta. They slept in Shelley's bed. They were bottle fed by Shelley. So the reason they're called our ambassador wolves is because for any wolf in the wild or in captivity, you have from the day it's born till about day of 25 of its life to imprint it with a human, get it used to sound, sights, activities, all that stuff. If you miss that window, never going to happen because they have a natural instinctive fear of humans. So these 2, like I said, bottle fed from Shelley, very good with humans. If Flora just went out on a walk, you can come out on a walk in the mountains with us. We let her off leash, or whichever wolf is with us, and go for a walk with wolves. All of our wolves will go for these walks except for 2. 2 were not imprinted, and I'm going to tell you about that just in a sec. So that's Scrappy Dave and Flora. In this little bundle, if you can see her, she blends in very well. This is our little Honey. So she's our only wild-born wolf. Came to us just over 2 years ago. She's just above 2. She was found by herself, tiny little pup, as a little fluff ball on a log. Some guy was walking along. Border BC, Alberta, Crow's Nest Pass, walking along the woods, looks down, sees this little fluff ball, almost dead, emaciated, all by herself. He scooped her up, thinking she was a fox, took her into the conservation officer. Conservation officer's like, oh, that's a wolf. And because, luckily for her, he pushed her with the paperwork, made her on the BC side of the house because it was right on the border of BC and Alberta. Alberta doesn't rehab carnivores. She would have been euthanized. So he gave her a shot at life, got her to the vet, and now she gets to live out her life here. Now, she wasn't imprinted, so she does not let the staff touch her, not even Shelley. She has not let one of us touch her. She's getting more courageous. And she's about half the size she should be, we think. Don't know for sure, because she was so sick when she was young, and all the medications she had to get when she was getting fixed up stunted her growth a bit. So she's going to be a small wolf. However, Scrappy Dave and Flora, very maternal, have raised pups before, so they took her in right away, fed her within the first hour, and now they're one big happy family. They basically adopted Honey, and they teach her how to be a wolf. They teach her when she's being a bad wolf. Right now, her thing is to run up behind Flora when she's not looking, bite her in the butt, and take off. Flora at first was like, okay. Now Flora's like, nope. So she's correcting that. She's correcting Lonnie on that one right now. Those are our 3 wolves up here. Did everyone get to the back on the deck and see the boys back there? You can go after. So in the far back we have big white guy. His name is Big Mac. He's our biggest, oldest, grumpiest wolf. He's 11 years old. Came from a place in Alberta where they had too many animals, a hoarding situation. Government shut it down. Unfortunately, his brothers and sisters got sent to Furberry Farms, which does happen in Canada still. $1,500 to about $2,000 for a wolf pelt right now. Mac lucked out. He got to come live with us, but he was never imprinted because he was from a bad situation. So he is grumpy, he is old, and he's big, and he doesn't want any humans near him. So we just let Mac be Mac back there. He chooses not to go on walks. So that's just our Big Mac. Living with him is Uno, and then Murphy and Farley off this one. All 3 from Montana. Murphy and Uno are full brothers. Farley's their cousin. They're 4 years old. They've all been imprinted. They go on walks. However, 4 years old is like teenager stage for wolves. So just like humans, teenagers get in trouble. They don't listen, and they fight, right? So do wolf teens. So right now, Farley, he's in this one. He thinks he's like that big tough guy that, in high school, a guy had his arms out like this and thought he was really tough. But he wasn't really. That's Farley right now, and he is actually picking fights with Mac through the fence. Mac's like, no way. So together they're going at it. So if you hear growling, gruffing, and all that back there, that's Farley making Mac mad. If we were to lift that fence right now, Mac would kill Farley in with a matter of seconds. So as humans get in fights and stuff like that, so do they, but we just have to make sure we move them and keep them safe from each other. All right, so that's our little pack at Northern Lights. Let's talk about wolves in the wild. Who can tell me what the 2 bosses of a wild wolf pack are called? Alpha male, alpha female. Everybody's heard that. Losing my voice a bit, guys. You gotta bear with me. Alpha female, alpha male. Easier term, breeding male, breeding female. Even easier, mom and dad. So the structure of wolf family units is more like humans than any other animal on earth. They run their families just like we do. So you got mom and dad, the alphas. They provide food, shelter, water, space for the pack. That's what wolves need to thrive and survive in the wild or captivity. They make all the decisions. Who's staying at the den to babysit the pups? Where they're going hunting, when they're going hunting, who's got what job when they're hunting. Sorry guys, I'm just stating facts up here. Don't blame me, but it generally is the females who make all the big decisions for those packs. Like I said, more like humans than any other animal on earth, right? So you got the alphas. Anyone want to take a guess who the alpha of this pack is?
Flora.
Flora. What about Mel? Scrappy Dave or Matt? That's generally what everyone guesses. Welcome, guys. It's actually Shelly. Shelly provides the food, shelter, water, space for this pack. So they look at her as their mom. Okay, so in a wild wolf pack, underneath the alphas, you got the betas. Beta's right-hand man of the alpha, going to step in. Alpha gets hurt, not doing his job. Beta's coming in to take over. Then you've got the workforce, the young guys going to do the hard hunting. And then at the bottom would be Omega. And Omega is like grandma, grandpa, maybe a wolf that got a broken jaw on the last time. Going to stay back at the den, take care of the pups. The whole pack takes care of the pups, not just mom and dad. And that's basically the general structure of a wolf pack. Not every pack is exact same. Just like we're not all exact same, but that's the general structure. All right, so let's talk about what they eat. So we got our wild wolf pack. They're going out for dinner. They got their menus open, looking at the entrees. What do you think they're ordering? Your guesses? Elk? Yep, elk. Anything else? Throw it.
Rabbits.
They will actually go after rabbits or like maybe beaver, but those would be like an appetizer for them. That would be like a snack to sustain them until they had their big dinner. So basically the scientific term for their prey, for what wolves hunt, is called ungulates. Antler-bearing, split-hoofed animals. So deer, elk, caribou, moose, bison, buffalo, longhorn sheep, the big prey. When they do hunt, they go after the weak, the young, the sick, the diseased, the old, the weak. Why do they do this? Well, number one, it keeps those herds healthier because they're weeding out the sick ones, so it actually helps the herds. But number two, wolves are very opportunistic and lazy animals. They will not work if they don't have to. So they will go after the easiest target every single time. So here up at Northern Lights, we like to feed our guys the way they would eat in the wild, keep their systems working the way they should. We get donated all the roadkill that gets hit on the highway, the elk and the deer. We're the dumping station for that. That gets brought up to us. We hack it up into huge pieces. If legs go flying over the fence, in on a cart. In the wintertime, it's snow, it's blood. The wolves are covered in blood. It's ravens. It's like a murder scene. It's crazy, but it's very cool to see. And we'll put a whole carcass in there, and these three, can do a whole carcass in 24 to 48 hours. Well, hello, little girl. This is the newest addition to the family here. Hi. Anyways, so the entire carcass, their teeth rip, tear, shred, chew, crush the bones, eat the hides. They eat the entire thing except for the intestines. Little toxic to them, but out in the wild, that would feed 27 other species. So everyone's getting a meal when a wolf makes a kill. They also have a bite pressure of 1,500 pounds per square inch. So if you want to compare that to one of the hardest, fastest biting dogs, that would be a German Shepherd. He is 750. So they are double the strength in their bite force than a German Shepherd. Hard, fast bite. Everyone thinks these guys are these elite hunters. They're awesome hunters. They're not. Maybe 1 in 10 tries, a pack will make a kill. Not so great, but it's that pack hunting that allows them to take down that big prey. So we also, in the interim, we'll give them a big feed. A whole carcass will go in. They will gorge themselves. So out in the wild, they're on a feast or famine diet, meaning lack of prey, lack of habitat. When they do make a kill, when a wolf pack makes a kill, they gorge themselves and they eat up to 25% of their body weight every single time. So that would be like you're not eating for 3 weeks, going to McDonald's and having 130 hamburgers at once and doing it every time you eat. So that's what they do. Their tummies hang down. They're like us after Christmas dinner. They don't move for 3 days, huge bellies. And so we'll give them that feed. They'll do it. And then we'll give them a couple days before we give them another big feed. In the interim, we buy beef from Calgary. We give them big chunks of beef as snacks in the interim. The guys get about a 10-pound hunk. Girls maybe 5 to 7. Flora's been clocked at 32 seconds on her roast. She basically just inhales it. They do forage on grasses and berries. About 7% of their diet is grasses and berries, so they're not true carnivores, but most of their diet is meat. So that's how we feed. Now, like I said, I'm going to tell you that in just a sec, see if anybody knows the answer to that. So we just give them, try to feed them exactly they would eat in the wild and let their digestive systems work as they should by doing that feast or famine like they would eat in the wild. And that's how they eat up here. So here's a scenario. Let's say we got a wild wolf pack. They just took down a buffalo. They're 50 kilometers away from their den and 10 hungry pups and grandma and grandpa babysitting. So they're 50 kilometers away. How do you think, any ideas, or has anyone read the sign, cheating, how they're going to get that buffalo 50 kilometers back to their pups and grandma and grandpa to feed them? You got it. Regurgitation. Yeah. So basically what happens is they all gorge themselves. All the adults make their way back to the den. While they're doing that, it's churning in their bellies. The enzymes are going. It's like a crock pot. Staying warm. Get back to the den. The pups come out and start licking underneath all the adults. And abject puke, regurgitation, whatever you want to call it. So when I said Scrappy Dave fed Honey within the first hour, he actually threw up for her within the first hour. That's how caring wolves are. They are all about family. Hi guys, welcome. Come on in. We're not even halfway through. All right. So that's how we feed them here, and that's how they feed their babies. Let's do some fun wolf facts. Here we go. Wolves can see better than us during the day, 100 times better than us at night. They smell 2.5 kilometers away. They can hear up to 8 kilometers away. Super powerful senses. Right now they have only one coat. They look kind of haggardy right now. It's because they just shed their inner coat, which is like it's a down winter jacket basically. It's all folded down, keeps them warm to minus 40, minus 50. They shed around May, and then they'll grow it back around September. During the summer months, they just have their outer coat. It's like a rain jacket. It's hollow hairs, moisture whisks right off them. So they're warm, they're dry all year. And as you can tell, much more active in the cooler temperatures. They are built for those cold temperatures. They're just they enjoy it much more than they eat. All 4 paws are webbed. The front paws are bigger than the back paws by a bit. For coastal wolves living off Vancouver Island, let's say, they've adapted to eating fish as a food source, have been known to swim up to 20 kilometers. That's how good of swimmers they are with those webbed feet. Up here in this kind of terrain, when the snow falls, acts as snowshoes. Those web feet keeps them on top of the snow, where their prey hooves get bogged in the snow, gives them a little advantage. They're cross trackers, so if the left front paw goes down and makes a print, rear opposite paw is going to meet it and put a print in the same spot. Why do they do that? Hides the numbers when they travel in single file, keeps them a little more agile and aloof out in the wild. So if you see something like that, it looks like a big dog print, you got a wolf print there, because coyotes don't do the same thing, and coyotes' paws are a lot smaller than wolves. All right, 3 forms of communication. I'm hoping one happens today. It did about an hour ago. Anyone want to guess? Howl. Why do wolves howl? Happy, sad, singing a song. There's many reasons why they do. But when they are howling, what they do, they're talking. They're talking to each other. Each wolf has their own pitch. If 2 wolves have the same pitch, one will alter it. So we recognize each other by the sound of our voices. They recognize each other by the sound of the howls. They can all howl. I can tell you exactly which wolf it is. Out in the wild, they would howl to warn other packs out of their territory, or they maybe to find a member of the pack that got separated. They can also, 2 wolves can make themselves sound like 10 or 15 wolves. Defense mechanism out in the wild. They can change their pitches, make it sound like they've got a whole pack down. Second form of communication, body posture. Ears, body, tail. Going to tell you whether it's being aggressive or submissive. Ears forward, tail high and tight, body tight, standing tall. They're being aggressive. Submissive behavior would be ears back, tail between the legs, maybe rolling on their back. There's hierarchies in wolf packs, so there's higher ranked wolves, lower ranked wolves. So the communication is all through body language. When you see a wild wolf pack horsing around, pups playing around on TV, 80% of that is communication. And then finally, everybody's seen a dog do this. Right? So wolf scat, wolf pee. Actually, dog is not covering up their poop or anything. With their scent glands are in their paws. Same with the dogs. And they're pushing their scent into the ground. And that's like a text message to everybody. All the other critters out there, hey, I was here and this is what I'm doing. They can walk 2 to 4 kilometers an hour. They can trot 12 to 18, but they can run 65K. And they can hold it for 20 kilometers without slowing down. Built for speed, built for endurance, but there better be a big piece of meat at the end of that run or you will never see it happen. Like I said, very lazy. But that's actually one of their mechanisms to tire their prey out, is just exhaust them, run them to death. Anyone want to take a guess how long a wolf lives in the wild? Just throw out some numbers, and whatever you think. No wrong answers.
25
10? 25?
10.
10? How about this section? 15? 13? 13? 35! We're having an auction here. 3 to 6.
Wow.
That is it.
3 to 6.
Pretty sad numbers. So wolves have a very hard life in the wild. Now first they got to worry about, number 1, other predators and their pups. Pups have less than 1% chance of lasting 1 year due to starvation, and predatory birds is their biggest enemy. They got to worry about disease. Mange is a big killer for wolves. They got to worry about humans populating their habitat. It becomes very hard to find food, shelter, water, space when we're everywhere. So they've got a lot of things they got to face out there, the elements, the weather. So they only live about 3 to 6. If a wolf lives to 8 in the wild, he's a very old wolf and a very lucky wolf. In a captivity, these guys are the spoiled rich kids of the wolves. They get everything given to them, food, shelter, water, space. They get walked in the mountains. We got 3 acres. They get to run in the back. And they get free health care. They get the free health care. So these guys are good. They'll live 10 or 15. We did have a wolf live to almost 17 here as well. All right. Wolves don't bark. They don't bark like dogs. So that bark, bark, bark. Someone comes to the door, your dog's yapping. Wolves don't do that. They gruff, they growl, they whimper, they whine, but they don't bark like a dog. You might get a yip that sounds like a bark, but only one. They don't bark like dogs. All right, so let's move on to my last little bit, most important part, and then I promise I'll let you go. Why are we here? What is our message? We are here to dispel the myth of the big bad wolf, the folklore from movies and books making these guys look like they're killers. They want to eat humans. Absolutely not true. These guys are actually non-aggressive animals. They're also known as apex predators. Does anybody know what an apex predator is?
Nothing eats it.
You got it. Top of the food chain. So out in the wild, there was nothing hunting a wolf, except for humans, of course, and I'll talk about that in just a sec. They're also known as a keystone species, a bioindicator species, or an umbrella species. All these are just scientific words saying that the health of a habitat can be dictated by whether wolves are present or not. So if you imagine you have an archway, keystone is at the top, you pull out the keystone, what happens to that archway? It collapses, right? That's what happens when you take these guys out of their own ecosystems or environments. Who's heard about Yellowstone? What happened in Yellowstone? Sort of. Really interesting story. I'm going to tell it really quick of what happened in Yellowstone National Park, but also demonstrates how important these guys are. Yellowstone National Park was built as an elk and caribou preserve in the late 1800s. How do you do that? You got to take the predators out. So by 1920, the last wolf was shot in Yellowstone National Park. What happened to that park over the next few years, then decades? Banks eroded, waters changed direction, wildlife gone, all vegetation completely decimated. The park was completely annihilated and stayed that way for many, many decades. And in the 50s, new warden was hired. His name was Jonas from New York. Lifelong dream to go work at beautiful Yellowstone. Gets there and the whole park is completely dead. He's like, what's going on with this park? So he does his master thesis. Why is there no willow trees and why is there no beavers in Yellowstone National Park? Once he does his research, the conclusion is no wolves. Well, why is that? Because you have tens of thousands of deer, elk, caribou, but you have no predators or hunters to make them move anywhere. They don't have to hide. They don't have to put babies in thickets and tree lines. They don't have to have tactical routes, stay up higher or stay up lower closer to people. They don't have to do anything because they're not evading anything trying to kill them. So what did they do? They adapted into basically like grazing cattle. They stayed together, they stayed in one spot, and they ate everybody out of house and home, moved to the next spot and did the same thing. Pretty soon there's no trees left for beavers to make dams, so beavers take off. Without beavers, you don't have any aquatics, rivers, ponds, streams, because they are the engineers of those aquatics. So without rivers and ponds, streams, now you have no fish because you have no rivers. Bear's main food source, bear's gone. Now you have no ponds and streams that produce for the insects. You don't have insects, you don't have frogs and reptilians, and you don't have rodents, no birds. Snowball effect, if you get what I'm saying. So the park stayed like that until the 90s. And finally, the U.S. government said, hey, we got to fix Yellowstone. And how did they do it? They phoned up Canada. They said, hey, Canada, can we borrow some wolves? So over a 2-year period, 1995, 1996, 35 wolves from northern BC, northern Alberta, green cards in their little fur pockets, on the plane they go. Canadian wolves go to 4 corners of Yellowstone and they go to work. And what happens? Within 1 year, the park starts to rejuvenate. Within 8 years, it's back to its ecosystem it is today, with over 100 wolves, pack sizes up to 30 wolves. Pack size is determined by abundance of prey and health of a habitat. You got 30 wolves in one pack, you got a healthy park. So good job, Canada, we fixed Yellowstone. I think we learned our lesson, but we did not, because we are doing the exact same mistakes here in Alberta and BC. Right now, there is a wolf cull going on by our government. Wolves are being shot by helicopters, poisoned with strychnine, cyanide, compound 1080, hunted, baited, trapped by our government in the name of woodland caribou. Woodland caribou's numbers have gone down 80% in the last 20 years. The government gets pressure from wildlife, environmental groups to do something about it. So what did the wolves do? Or what did the wolves do? What did the government do? The government used these guys as a scapegoat. I think we might be getting a deer, and that's why we're getting maybe. So the government used these guys as a scapegoat and said, hey, the wolves are killing all the caribou. The wolves have coexisted with their prey since the beginning of time. They will never kill all their prey, and they never will. The wolf's job in the wild is to hunt, and by their hunting, they control the populations underneath them of all the individuals and the ungulates underneath them, which help bring balance to all the ecosystem. They are there to bring the balance and keep the balance, not unbalance it. Strangely enough, though, woodland caribou can only, we're getting, probably a deer that got hit on the highway is being dropped off. And like I said, they can smell and hear 2.5 kilometers away, so they're kind of like, ooh, what's that over there, you know? That's exactly what's going on right now. Interestingly enough, woodland caribou can only eat moss and lichen off trees that are 80 to 100 years old from old growth forests, aspen and willows. So who can tell me what the biggest export Canada has right now? Lumber. So who's taking away caribou's habitat? Us, of course. Not these guys, but they're being murdered inhumanely for it. We have 5 national parks built with recreation, tourism, industry, and people in mind. Inside our 5 national parks, you cannot kill a wolf. They are protected. However, what the government didn't keep in mind is that these guys need to coexist with us. Food, shelter, water, space, they need to have that. When we populate with our hiking, biking, mansions in the mountains, resorts, industry, we are everywhere. They keep getting pushed back and back and back because they don't want anything to do with humans. Once they cross the imaginary, you are leaving Banff National Park boundary, now you can kill a wolf for $10, no special license. And that's 12 months of the year in Canada. So what we're here to say is, just like Yellowstone, the problem with all of this is, if these guys go, so does all of this. And that is a fact. That is how essential these guys are to our future and this earth. We cannot be without wolves, or the nature goes with it, the wildlife goes with it. It all goes with them. They can survive without us, but we can't survive without them. So I'm just going to give you a couple stats so you understand. A lot of people come here still with that in their brain that, you know, you're out in the woods and you run into a wolf, it's going to attack you, it's going to eat you, pack of wolves is going to devour you, it's going to go after you. Absolutely not true. There has not been one documented attack in the last 100 years across the world by an unhabituated, healthy wolf on a human. Now, unhabituated, healthy are the 2 key words. Any attacks that have happened have been by a diseased, starved, or desperate wolf. A healthy wolf can smell and hear you before you even know it's there, and they're going to be gone. A lot of people come up and say, I saw a wolf, and we're probably like, probably was a coyote, but they're not going to come after you. They're not going to come hunt you. They're not going to come eat you. They don't even want to eat you. They want nothing to do with you. So that's what we're just trying to flip that thing that a lot of people still have in their brains, that these guys are aggressive hunter killers. They're not. They're magnificent animals, and they are keystone species, meaning they have to be here. My next little thing I'm going to ask is, just so you guys can get a point of how good we're doing here in Canada. Yellowstone is 1 national park, and it has over 100 wolves in it. We have 5 national parks, almost 3.5 times the size of Yellowstone. Anyone want to take a guess how many wolves we have in 5 national parks? 50? Pretty close. So the government gives us numbers. They're saying 75 right now. It's about 30% lower than what they say. So only 55 wolves in 5 national parks. We're not doing that good. Not doing that good, people. So we're just here to be a voice for them, bring awareness, and hopefully you guys spread it around. More voices, more chance for change for these guys, because they really are beautiful. All right, that's all I got for you. I think it's 10, I believe. Okay. And it's once a year in the spring. Yeah. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to find any of us, and we'll answer any questions you got. Hopefully there'll be a little. Trying to get them up. I don't know if the boys in the back will get up for you, but
Yeah, it's okay.
hopefully they do something for you. But if you haven't been up to see the boys in the back, go back there. And then the next tour will start in about, I think, probably about 10, 15 minutes or so. But if you have any questions, please find us, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, I have no idea. The feeding is the luck of the draw. If that was a deer that's coming in, my guess is they're going to be fed today. But I have no idea when. Shelly's not even here yet. Shelly is not even here. She's the one that decides when they get fed and feeds them. Yeah. So